speaker. Good morning, everyone. Well, sorry to interrupt myself. We were playing the last version of Cobblestones Chronicles because I've had that horrible flu that's been going around. And they weren't too sure if I was going to be here today or not. But here I am, and we have a live show, and I'm going to get straight into it because it's been very strange not being able to do it. So I've only missed one show so far. Thank goodness. So today what I want to talk about is, in Cobblestones Chronicles, is our school. Because we have a fabulous school in Cobblestones. But before before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about why we have Cobblestones Museum. Because Cobblestones Museum is a regional museum. In the same way that the coaches that stopped at the original stables in the museum, on the cobbles that are still there, then we also they went regionally from there, spread out all across the way. And it's we're so lucky because a lot of the buildings that we have at Cobblestones are from around the entire area. So before we do that, I just want to play you a song. It's called the Magpie Song, and it's about living in the country. It's by a chap called Alan Downs, who is he calls himself a recovering farmer. He grew up in the Hawke's Bay on a farm, on a hill farm, a sheep farm, and he has recorded a number of songs about farming and farming life. So here we go, Magpie Song by Alan Downs.
I remember the magpies in the dawn, the sunlit frost on my front lawn, the sky so new it's not yet blue, the silver face of last night's moon. Dressing in yesterday's still warm bed, teasing the sleep out of your head, grudgingly past the bathroom sink and into the kitchen we would slink. And the magpie calls at the break of day, gargling, chortling, do-dally-day, and the dogs are howling at the moon's faded smile. Sunrise brings to you another day. The night clings to the shadows as they fade. There's a freshly painted sky of crimson flame, and the magpie calls to you at the break of day. Call laddie who, how you do, you want a dawdle day? There's porridge, thickly lazy, steams, brown sugar and Jersey house cow cream. Breakfast at the big kitchen table, magpies laughing at the daybreak. Running now to catch the school bus, bare feet burning in the morning frost, school bag bouncing on your thigh, and still the laughing magpie cries. And the magpie calls at the break of day, gargling, chortling, do-dally-day, and the dogs are howling at the moon's faded smile. Sunrise brings to you another day. The night clings to the shadows as they fade. There's a freshly painted sky of crimson flame, and the magpie calls to you at the break of day. Call laddie who, how you do, you want a dawdle day? As a new day hurries its way on in, shrugs off last night's dew-laden skin. The sunrise dazzles blurry eyes, you're alive, just 5, and the magpie cries. that warbling, chortling, black and white nemesis of the passing night. Memories of a childhood maid, the magpie recalls forgotten days. And the magpie calls at the break of day, gargling, chortling, do-dally-day, and the dogs are howling at the moon's faded smile. Sunrise brings to you another day. The night clings to the shadows as they fade. There's a freshly painted sky of crimson flame, and the magpie calls to you at the break of day. Call laddie, who are you? Do you want a dawdle day? Now when I hear the magpie's song, laughing still at the night just gone, a jubilation at another day. Do-dally-dawdle, do-dally-day. It's the same old magpie, same old song, same old memories so long gone. Same old words the magpie says, do-dally-dawdle, do-dally-day. And the magpie calls at the break of day, gargling, chortling, do-dally-day, and the dogs are howling at the moon's faded smile. Sunrise brings to you another day. The night clings to the shadows as they fade. There's a freshly painted sky of crimson flame, and the magpie calls to you at the break of day. Call laddie, who are you? Do you want a dawdle day? Now the magpie's all day collecting bling, sticks and string and shiny things, cobbles a nest at his leisure, a work of art from scavenged treasure. And when I hear the magpie's song, reminds me of where my words come from, bits and pieces from my memory borrowed from that childhood treasury. And the magpie calls at the break of day, gargling, chortling, do-dally-day, and the dogs are howling at the moon's faded smile. Sunrise brings to you another day. The night clings to the shadows as they fade. There's a freshly painted sky of crimson flame, and the magpie calls to you at the break of day. Call laddie, who are you? Do you want a dawdle day? Call laddie, who are you? Do you want a dawdle day?
So that was Alan Downs with the Magpie song, all about being in the country. And that's really a lot about what we at the museum are all about, was about, you know, being in the country, because of course it really was countryside. I want to, for those of you who are watching on TV, I'm just about to put up a photograph of the Manga Pakeha School, which was relocated to Cobblestones in the 80s. And this school was set up near Tainui. And it was for the settlement around Tainui and at Manga Pakeha. And it was an aided school, which meant that the parents had to supply board for the teacher. So because there's no accommodation in the school, and I've just put up, for those of you watching, a view of the classroom, the teacher had to go and board with families in the district. I can't imagine how the children who were attending the school felt about having their teacher boarding with them. Must have been, they must have felt as if, oh, they had to be in the best behaviour the whole time and definitely get their homework done. The teacher had to shift around the families every term. And of course, in those days, and I'm talking about the late 1800s, early 1900s, the teacher had to shift around, so 3 times a year. And the salary for the teacher was £5 a month, which would have been a lot way back then. I mean, that really had to be a good job. And of course, most of the teachers were single. So they were single women, young single women normally, who would come for a year, and they would shift around the families, and they would have, not a lot of children. It looked like there was generally maybe 8 to 12 children in each class, but the class, of course, was mixed. So you would have from littlies, just 5 or 6 years old, right up to 12 or 13. But of course, at that age, at 12 or 13, the kids would be expected to go and help work on the farm. So they wouldn't be doing much schooling after that. We are looking at doing another of our virtual guides, and we're probably going to make our character, who will be our virtual guide, Miss Calder, who was there in 1900 to 1901. I gather from the collections team have very kindly done me a lot of information about the school. It was rebuilt in 1897 by the local education inspector was instructed to report what was needed for the aided school because it had been burnt down, and there was 18 children of school age and 7 under school age. So it opened in 1898 and stayed open until 1862. It always struggled, however. There were problems by teachers appointed by locals, and although it was situated 34 kilometres from Masterton, which would have been the nearest town, that was probably quite a long way for people to come. There were 35 applicants for the position of master when it was granted, but then we had Miss Calder in September 1900. So that. If you are watching on television, the model in the schoolroom is not Miss Calder. It's not even a representation of her. But the kind of things that are on the board were exactly the kind of things that would have happened, that would have been teaching. So there were the times tables, and for those of you who are about the same age as I am, you might remember having to learn all the times tables, and you did them by rote. None of this new maths at all, because that wasn't the way you learnt to do maths. And I have to say that when my goddaughters and my nephew asked me to help them with their maths, I did have a bit of a problem because the way they count these days is very different from the way I learned to count. There's also some English on the board, arithmetic, and I have to say that I am very grateful for learning my arithmetic, because when I did start working behind a bar and serving when I was a student, I could count up in my head, and I can still do that as I go around the supermarket. I always know roughly how much I've spent and how much is in the basket. The school also had a fireplace, so the kids would turn up at the school. Often they would turn up on horses, so there'd be maybe 2 children or even 3 children sometimes on horseback, and the children would allow the horses to graze in the field outside the school, and then they'd come inside, and the teacher would, in the wintertime, the teacher would have had the fire going. And we even have what I would call a swee. I'm not too sure what you call it in New Zealand, to be honest. It's a hook that swings out, so you can put a pot or a kettle on it, and then swings back in over the fireplace. And I think it's really interesting to note that there were about 6 or 8 children often in the school in the days when Miss Calder was there. So that's a little bit about our school, and I just want to. There we go. I'm just switching off the pictures now. I think what was really interesting about the school was that it did last for a long time. It was in use in bits and pieces until 1962. But then, of course, with the advent of motor transport, then it was much easier for kids to get to school. They were also expected to stay at school longer. I know my brother-in-law, the eldest one, left school immediately the day he could and went off to do an apprenticeship as a mechanical engineer, and became a ship's engineer, actually, which is what a lot of young people did in those days. They left school as soon as they possibly could. And they wanted also to get off the farm. So that was the generation, those of us who are baby boomers, we're the generation who moved off the farm and moved much more into the city. Okay, so that's a bit about our school today. I just want to hark back to a story that I got told when I arrived in New Zealand. I noticed that a lot of people said to me, they noticed my accent, and they'd tell me their mother or their father or their grandmother or their great-grandmother was Scottish, and there was an awful lot of them. And then someone told me that in the late 19th century, late 1800s, 25% of the people who lived in the South Island of New Zealand had been born in Scotland. So it's not really surprising that there's so many people with Scottish heritage here. So on last weekend, I was given a new CD by a New Zealand couple. They do have Scottish heritage. Michael has Scottish heritage. And this is a lovely CD, which is all songs by Robert Burns, otherwise known as Rabbie Burns. You might know him as that. So I'm going to play you a track from the CD. It's called Wild Mountain Time, written by Rabbie Burns, or at least collected by Rabbie, because he was a great collector of old Scottish songs. He didn't write music himself, but he would often put words or collect the words and make sense of them. So here we go. This is Wild Mountain Time, sung by Michael McKinnon and Lynn Wilkinson.
Is within grasp. Hear the islands call. The last mile is upon us. I'll carry you if you fall. I know the armor's heavy now. I know the heart is tired. It's beautiful just over the wild mountainside. Snow is falling all over, out of clear blue sky. Crow is flying high over. You and I are going to wander high up where the air is rare and wild horses ride. It's beautiful, let's go over the wild mountainside. fall, the last mile is upon us. I'll carry you if you fall. I know the armor's heavy now, I know the heart inside. It's beautiful, let's go over the wild mountainside. It's beautiful, just roaming the wild mountainside.
That was Wild Mountain Time by Wilkie Mack, Lynn Wilkinson and Michael McKinnon. From Michael's name, you might guess that he's very proud of his Scottish heritage, and he often wears a kilt as well. So lovely to have them visiting us and giving us this lovely CD. So I'll be playing some more of these Scottish songs later on. But just before I wind up today, I just want to say that if you are interested in Cobblestones, and if you would like to find out more about volunteering, or if you're interested in old machinery, if you're interested in our virtual guides and about how we're making the videos for the virtual guides, if you're interested in being involved with any of that, we'd be delighted to chat with you. And you can get in touch with us through our website or through our Facebook page. And you can also find out what's going on through our Facebook page. We've just had a very busy time over July, because we had the midwinter Christmas and we had open days every Saturday. We've had well over 2,000 people through our doors, which is amazing and keeps us very busy. But we have lots of fun at Cobblestones volunteering, because we do things like we dress up in old-fashioned garb and make history come alive. That's what we're all about. We're all about having history come alive. So it's been lovely to be with you this morning, and hopefully I'll be talking with you again in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.
Come as one, common ground where all can meet, common ground in park and street, common ground to share our concern, common ground where all come as one.
That's Cobblestones Chronicles for this week. I'm looking forward to talking to you again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.
Interested in the local arts and culture scene? Then you need to listen to Recuperate. Every month, your hosts, Lucy Cooper and Katie Abbott, chat with people involved in the Wairarapa's lively and diverse creative industries. Film, theatre, music, visual arts, dance. Coops and Katie cover it all. Recuperate airs at 8 p.m. every third Sunday of the month on 92.7 FM, or you can listen live from the website arrowfm.co.nz. Recuperate, proudly sponsored by the Great